Wow, this is different. Doing a live stream right from YouTube's built-in stuff and my first live stream on my personal channel. Uh, so I don't know. I haven't done this before on here. Don't have any viewers yet, so I'm just gonna play around here and try to figure out how to get the camera and stuff to work better. I'm so zoomed in right now. It's shouldn't be this close, so I don't know what's going on. Camera settings are weird. I probably can't even change it. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It's live. But anyway, um, I'm gonna start a new channel pretty soon. Something not uh, connected to my IRL media stuff at all. Just a brand new channel. It's going to be kind of a vlog and time thing. I'm debating right now, though, whether I want to start it now and then kind of get everybody caught up on the story of my fiance and I, how we met, and what's going on right now. For those of you that don't know and haven't followed any of my stuff on my other YouTube channels, you can look in the description. You can see that I've got a Give, Send, Go down there. My fiance and I met about, I want to say like 13, 14 months ago now. What is today? So, yeah, just about 2 weeks shy of 14 months. So about 13 and a half months ago. I was doing some research on the war in Ukraine. There was some things with the war, things that were going on there that didn't like sit right with me. Made me feel kind of weird. So I decided to start looking into it. And I've got like Telegram, and I started doing some searches for different places for searches for like Ukraine, Ukraine channels and things like that. And I wanted to use Telegram because it's got a built-in translation feature so that I would be able to talk with them and they could talk with me. Well, I bumped into this one channel and they were doing like camera shares. People were talking, and that was the channel that I met my fiance in. I kind of introduced myself and I asked if I could join their group because I was reading what they were typing, and it's a public group. Anybody could, if I remember right. I don't think I had to be invited, but I was watching what they were typing, and I thought, this might be a good way to get some information for my research on what's going on with the war in Ukraine. And the interesting thing is that there were Ukrainians and there were Russians in there. There were like two Russian guys, and what I found out later is these two Russian guys were defectors from the Russian army. So I'm not going to mention. I can't mention any names or anything. As a matter, I don't even remember their names anyway. But we were talking, and basically, the Russian guys were like, this war basically turned into like a meat grinder. It's almost like on both sides they were sending people to the fronts to fight, and they were guinea pigs for testing out drone warfare and some of the other stuff that was going on. But anyway, some talking after a couple of days, and um, on that first night is when I met my fiance. I'm not going to mention her name. I'll call her Alina. Um, but the first night that I was in there, I met her, and we talked a little bit on the side, and she was asking me, well, why are you here? And I told her, I says, I'm a podcaster and I'm doing some research about the war between Russia and Ukraine. I said, there's a lot of things that don't sit right with me. And I said, with the research that I've been doing at the time, I was more focused on trying to honestly find all the bad stuff about Zelensky. And I was figuring that, Trump and Russia had a good thing going. And, but then I'm starting to find out there's some other things too. And it very well could be, it's probably not Putin, but it could be he's got some elements in his army that are just brutal. I don't know. But on the same token, there's a lot of bad apples on the Ukraine side, and the whole thing with the Nazis and all that kind of stuff. The there's a lot of it there. And there's people that are saying no, it doesn't. But anyway, I was talking with my fiance, and um, we did a lot of meetings in that channel talking about things that were going on, talking about the attacks and the things that were going on. And I'm getting information from both sides that, Russia would send some attack drones down, but at the same time, you would have drones taking off from the east side of Ukraine, which is all supposedly Russian controlled, but from areas where the Russians weren't really supposed to be at yet. Like on that front, they were, whoops, farther back. I almost knocked my stuff off. But it led me to believe that, and it was kind of backed up by my fiance and by my fiance's mother and the other 11, 12 people that were in that chat, that there's some nefarious stuff going on both sides. And then I did some more research, and I knew about the biolabs in Ukraine. They're all over the place, and that was probably, it wasn't said right out, but probably was the main reason for Russia doing what they did. It was a combination of the biolabs plus NATO, you know, putting stuff right on the border with Russia. But I don't think NATO is a good guy in this. Um, I think there's a lot of corruption going on there, and I think that's why President Trump has been so, what do you want to say, adamant about them paying their share, and a lot of them aren't. When Biden came in, a lot of them went back to the old way of doing things, and now Trump comes back, and now he's having to fight for it all again. the uh, the weapons shipments that were supposed to go to Ukraine were halted, and now what ended up happening is, I guess, Germany, and I think right now mainly Germany. There might be another couple of countries in there. They're buying the Patriot systems and the missiles and some of the other things that Ukraine needs. They're buying it directly from the United States and paying the United States for it, and then sending that over to Ukraine. So it's kind of by a proxy, but where we're not doing it directly. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything that President Trump is doing, but I back him 100%. I will not fail, will not falter, because I know that he plays 5D chess. He's always 10 steps ahead of everybody. So I know he's got some things that are going on in the background, and he's one that never telegraphs what he's going to do. He will not tell anybody what he's going to do. But unfortunately, I'm out there on social media, on True Social and X mainly. Those are the two that have the majority of people. On Facebook, but my Facebook has gotten very quiet. I have a few followers, but nobody posts anymore, hardly at all. I don't know what's I don't know what's going on. If I'm shadow banned, or if I don't know. I know I am on my YouTube channels. That's why I don't really put very much out there, because I spend 2 or 3 hours putting stuff together and I get like 5 or 6 views. But anyway, back on Trump, he never telegraphs what he's going to do until it's done. If you guys go back and you look at what was done with Iran, that was never telegraphed. Nobody had a clue what was going to happen, and then boom, he took out those 3 nuclear facilities, and then within a couple of days, 24, 48 hours, the war is over. Israel, Iran are at a ceasefire. They're not going to be at war anymore. But on the same token, if you take and you look at mainstream media and what they're posting out there, we're finding out, if people just give things 48 to 72 hours before they react, just look at it, put it on the back shelf, wait. We're finding out that, mainstream media and a lot of these influencers out there that are still using mainstream media to get their information, they get a knee jerk reaction and they start posting this stuff. And basically, what they're doing is they're trying to create a divide between the people that support President Trump, the people that want to make America great again, America first. They're trying to put a divide between everybody, especially with this whole Epstein thing that's going on. And I am not going to get into that. I have some ideas of what's going on. And I think that everybody that's putting posts out there, like especially on X, I haven't really paid much attention on True Social, because that's an echo chamber as far as I'm concerned. But I look at what's going on X, and I believe that the people that are posting a lot of stuff about the whole Epstein thing, even some of the people that I agree with, to a point, they're not getting the whole story right. They're not. I just think that there's something else that's going on, and I'm that's why I basically said I'm not going to talk about the Epstein stuff on X until this whole thing blows over, because I think there's more to it. And people get this knee jerk reaction and they think that they know it all, or they have their inside sources. Well, there is no inside source. This stuff is with Trump and his administration. The people that are in the know, they aren't. They don't tell nothing. Okay, so any of these people that are out here that pretend to know what's going on, they really don't. Um, So that being said, I'm just letting it play out, just like everything else that's going on. One of the things that I always revert back to, and I tell people, with Trump, these promises made and promises kept. The only thing the only promise that looks like right now that he didn't keep is when he came back into office. He said he'd have the Ukraine Russia war ended in, within 24 hours. Um, And I can tell you for a fact that that hasn't happened, because every single night my fiance is in a bomb shelter, and even sometimes during the day. As a matter of fact, as we're speaking right now, they had another air raid go off. It is 10:31 p.m. So things are happening a little bit earlier over there. Um, and it's pretty much common knowledge now. She's in Lviv. She started out in Donetsk, and then they went to Cherniv. She was in Cherniv for like 2 months, and then she moved to Poltava. That's where her mother came from, Donetsk, and met her in Poltava. They got an apartment, so it was her, her little brother, and her mom, and they were there for a while. But then, with all the attacks, everything was going on. My fiance started being affected. She was having like fainting things going on, and then she finally let me know that it was because there was a birth defect she had from when she was born, a congenital thing. It was a hole in her heart. So what we did is we put our savings together, all of hers and a pretty good portion of mine, to have the surgery to get that fixed, and that was done in April. She was in the hospital for a total of 9 days. Almost all of that was recovery from after the surgery. But 2 days before she was scheduled to go home to Poltava, there was an attack on Poltava, and a drone. I think what happened because of where the drone hit, I think it might have. It didn't get shot down, but I think it got hit bad enough that it threw it off its course, and it crashed about 90 meters from what my fiance's mother said, about 90 meters away from their apartment building. It was on a driveway and it exploded. It was enough that it blew all the windows out on that first floor and some of the second floor windows of that apartment building that they lived in. Now, we call it an apartment building, but they're basically kind of like what we would have here in the States where we call it a condo, where you own that. Well, they owned that apartment. Her mother did. She bought it. But so Alina is in the hospital. She's getting ready. She's supposed to be leaving the next day. Well, her mother got a hold of me and she says, "Hey, can you talk to Alina and see if she can talk to the doctors to let her stay one more day, an additional day, because mom needed to get some stuff cleaned up. She didn't want Alina coming home to the mess that was there. They blew the windows out and everything in the kitchen, so she had a mess she had to clean up. There was a window that got blown out into the stairwell going up to the balcony. Uh, so she had a lot of things to clean up, but at the time they didn't have the money to do the repairs because all the money that mom had, that Alina had, and a big chunk of the money that I had went to pay for her surgery, which they don't have insurance like we do here, like health insurance. So it basically has to be paid for in cash. And I'll give you an idea of, she had to have heart surgery to fix a hole in her heart, and it cost equivalent to right around 8,000, maybe slightly over $8,000. Where I'll give you another example. 2 days before she went in for surgery, I had to go into the hospital. I thought I was having a stroke, but all the symptoms were on the right side. I had just got done spraying some bug killer stuff out around the garden area in our backyard. It was a really windy day. A lot of this stuff was flying back in my face. I got some in my mouth. A gust of wind, just what I sprayed, it blew it right back in my face, and I got a pretty good amount in my mouth. Um, so I'm spitting it out, and then I set the jug down and turned and started walking, and then my arm just started going spastic. I didn't have any control over my arm, and then it slowly died down, but my arm laid limp at my side. I couldn't move my arm, and like when you have a stroke, like on the left side, your left side of your body just basically, well, that was happening on the right side of my mouth went down. I felt all numb in the side of my face. My tongue was numb at the inside of my mouth on the right side. I didn't feel any numbness in my neck, but from my shoulder all the way down to my fingertips, I couldn't move my fingers. Interestingly enough, my left or my right leg was not affected. Um, this whole thing was going on for a couple of minutes, probably 5 minutes. And I started to get some feeling back in my hand. Then I could sort of move my hand. And I decided I'm going to go in the house. I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to take a shower, get all this stuff off of me that blew back on me, put different clothes on. I went in, I took a shower. And while I'm in the shower, I'm still feeling the numbness in my arm. It's like when I moved around, it did it. So I got dressed, I went back out, and my neighbor was doing his lawn, and he was driving by on his lawnmower, and we flagged him down, and I told him what happened, and he immediately took me to the emergency room. So this is the point where I wanted to get at, compared to an open, like an open heart surgery to fix a hole in the heart, or however they do it, was just slightly over $8,000 in Ukraine. And here I had this go on where we thought it was a stroke. They took me to the local emergency room and then transported me by ambulance to Corpus Christi, to the big doctors, or the big hospital there. I never got put into a room. I was in a gurney in the emergency room for 21 hours straight. And then I got released and I went home. A week later, I got a bill in the mail for $66,000. And the following day, I got a letter from the VA telling me, do not make a payment on this. Do not pay it. They were going to take care of it, but they were getting the so overcharged, so over, because the VA, they're like, the VA will take care of all of it, right? The VA is going to take care of it, but they're not going to pay them 66,000. So that gives you an idea of how much cheaper it is in Ukraine to have certain things done medical wise. It's crazy. So anyway, I'm trying to now, after she got home from the hospital, she did get to stay that extra day. She got home. Mom had most of the mess cleaned up, but there were still chunks of the I'm not sure if it was a Shahed. It wasn't a regular small drone. It was pretty sizable. Um, but it didn't look like a Shahed because it didn't have the wings off the side. It looked more like it was some kind of a missile. I'm not sure. But anyway, that blew up outside, did the damage to the house. Mom got that stuff cleaned up, and in the meantime, she talked to another person. I don't talk to another person, and she said, "Hey, we're moving. My daughter can't deal with this anymore because of the whole. She's got to recover." So mom sold the apartment to equivalent, and this will give you guys an idea how cheap things are there. Um, but this apartment got sold for equivalent of about 1,100 US dollars. 1,100 for an apartment, basically, um, a one-bedroom apartment that has a living room and a bathroom. The only room that's closed off is the bathroom. The kitchen and the living room are kind of like wide open, and then the bedroom is just an open doorway. There's no door there, but so that's basically what they had. So they ended up packing up all their belongings. They left. They left their TV. They left any appliances that they owned. Basically, it was just their clothing and personal items that they packed up, and they had gotten an apartment scheduled in Lviv. So they went to Lviv, which got them much closer to the border with Poland. And for they have to fly out of Poland because there is no aircraft allowed flying in Ukraine. Ironically, in one of the videos that was posted up on, I think it made it to X, but the place that I saw it first was on Facebook. In Odessa, people were on the beach, and then the Shaheds were coming in. You could hear them. They're like a high pitch. They sound like a flying lawnmower. Um, and off in the distance, you see a Russian transport plane flying. It actually took off from someplace there, but it was just a Russian transport plane. I don't know what model, but people were freaking out because there was an airplane in the sky, and they haven't seen airplanes in the sky except for, the Ukrainian jets for a long, long, long time. So now my fiance and her mom and her brother, they're in their new apartment in Lviv. They found out after they moved in that they have running water, but there is no hot water. They don't have like a hot water heater or anything like that. So if they want hot water for a bath, they have to heat it up on the stove. And their stove is electric, it's not gas. So anyway, so that's where they're at now. But now the problem is on July 4th, the day after the big one of the big attacks on Kiev, the landlord went to Alina and her mom and said, "Hey, um, you guys have to move out on August 1st. My son and his family are moving in. They're coming here from Kiev. Kiev's been getting just crazy bombed with everything. So now they have to find another place to live. And Alina sent me photos this morning of apartments that are available. They're all of them are unfurnished. There are places you can get that are furnished. And even if they went to live in a place that was a lower quality, but a lot of these were like more of the regular high-rise apartment complexes. They're like back in my military days. To me, it reminds me of our dormitories that we had. They're like 3 to 4 stories and they're real long. Okay, so they're small apartments that are in there. Some of them are more high-rise, but unfurnished apartments equivalent to about $700 a month. Um, which if that was here, that would actually be pretty cheap, considering. But over there, that's crazy expensive because most Ukrainians, like a monthly salary or like take home pay ranges anywhere from 300 to about $500 a month. So again, that would mean that both mom and dad both have to have a job to afford one of those, and they have a lot of empty ones. So of course they're empty because people can't afford it, but they're leaving them at the higher prices because so many people are fleeing from eastern Ukraine and coming that way. So, they're sucking up their money. It's they're like, okay, well, we're going to have an influx, so if you want one, you got to pay for it. But now we're at a point right now where my fiance and her mom and her brother may not have any place to go to. So again, down in the link, I've got my Give Send Go link, and we could really use your help, even if it's a buck. I mean, if I can get, you know, 1,000, 2,000 people to even see this video, and if they find it in the kindness of their heart to go there and donate a buck or two or five, we could have enough money in no time at all. But unfortunately, I've had the Give Send Go up now for 3 weeks. I've had 32 shares on it. Most of them have been my friend Patriot Roydy. Those shares are him. I think there were a couple people on X that might have shared it, but that's pretty much it. But there, my friend Steve is just going and sharing it every day. He's not in a position where he can donate anything. He's basically living less than paycheck to paycheck right now. And I understand it's hard for people, but I mean, I was in hardships and there were people that were out there that needed the help, and I found a way to, put 5, 10, 20 bucks. I've always gone out and helped people that were in need, always. And there were times where I gave people money not expecting to get it back, and most times I didn't. But I give out of my heart, not out of getting it back or getting something else out of it. And I'm kind of hoping that there's more people out there that can do that, especially now. We've got 2 weeks, and they're either on the street or they have to move back to a place like Poltava. And Poltava is one of those places that's getting hit hard right now. not quite as hard, but darn near as hard as Kiev. Kiev's getting hit hard because that's the capital, but Poltava is not that far away. Um, I'm praying that they don't have to go back there because the only places that are available are near places that are getting hit. Um, and unfortunately, these manufacturing and the industrial areas that are getting hit, on the outlying areas of there are residential places, and these residential places are getting direct hits. People are dying every day in Poltava and Kiev. Um, Luckily, we haven't had in the past couple days with the hits that have happened in Lviv. We haven't had any deaths. We've had a couple of injuries, but we haven't had any deaths yet. Thank God. Um, but right now, it's like I don't have anybody watching me on a live stream here. And I probably won't get any views. And if I did get views, I've only got 9 followers on this account. But if any of my 9 followers want to share this video, I would definitely appreciate it. I don't want it to get too long. It's already over 30 minutes. But again, I need help. Um, we chose saving her life right then, and to have the surgery to fix her heart issue. And now we're at a point where I mean, we could take and turn around and save this money back up, but with the way things are going right that where they are right now, it's not safe for them. And I know I'm being a little selfish and I want to get her out of there, but you know what, we've got a pretty tight bond, very very tight. I mean, we're close. We talk every day, even sometimes if it's only for a few minutes, but she lets me know that she's okay, because they have power outages quite a bit. They lose their internet connection. Sometimes she has to go off of data, and when she sends a message, I don't get it until after 5 minutes after she sent it. But she's letting me know that she's still there, and she very much wants to be here. She wants to become an American citizen. So does her mom. This has been her mom's dream for a long time. And my fiance is now, especially since she and I met, she wants to come here and work. She wants to work with me doing podcasting. We want to start a whole new channel up on travel and kind of like our daily vlog, and kind of invite everybody else out there to be part of our life and the things that we're doing every day. Um, that's just, we want to do that, and then we want to give back to anybody and any groups or anybody that has helped us with this particular thing that we're trying to get through right now. So um, we are a pay it forward. She, just so you know, she's a very devout Christian. We both pray together every time we can. We'll get on together and we pray together. And it's hard. So yeah, I would appreciate help. Um, but for those of you that don't know what's going on in the world and are questioning things that President Trump is doing, please just have faith in him. Um, he is going to do the things that he promised he was going to do. Just have faith in him. There's if a lot of you realized how deep the deep state really went, and the thing and the measures that they would take to preserve themselves, it's crazy. Okay, but I don't want to get into that. I want to keep this short, less than 35 minutes. So everybody, keep your head on a swivel. Be aware of your surroundings. When you're out there looking for things and doing your own research, if your research doesn't bring you back to Jesus Christ, you might be looking in the wrong place. So, God bless everybody out there on the other side of the screen. I'll do some updates every now and then from here, and I hope maybe I can get some viewers and some followers. Take care. God bless.